We'll start this meeting at 7 o'clock. We'll excuse our mayor. He's somewhere between Oregon and Texas. We don't know where, but he's got a whole load of cattle behind him. So anyhow, oh shoot, I was gonna ask somebody, Julie, would you say a prayer for us tonight? I know, I wish you wouldn't too, but I wish you would, so.
We ask thy Spirit to be with us, that we will be able to improve our town and do the things that we know that will be good to help our little community. We're thankful for all that we have, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, if you'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your participation in that. We do have two people tonight that want to participate in our public comment forum, so Julie, we'll let you be first. Yours came in first. Oh, together. Uh-oh.
We're just here on the Civics Committee, and we came to you a few months ago about a Connex box, a storage box for all of our stuff. And Rachel's been hunting around, and we did find one. It's with the Crams, Evan, and they're willing to sell it to us for $2,500. It is a 40-foot,
Okay.
let me look.
40 by 8 by 8.
40-foot long, 9.5 feet high.
Oh, it's 9.5. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a big one.
It does have a few rusty spots on the outside, but they said it's still really airtight and everything. When we checked with our budget, they said we're over budget, but we don't think we are, because everything that we've done, we've brought in some money. We've covered everything that we've done. I've got kind of what we've done, and every time, everything has been covered that we have. I know Easter, we were expecting $250 and it didn't come through. So we did spend money there that we wasn't able to cover. But all our activities we have brought in, like our 4th of July, I think we brought in about $2,000, almost $3,000 with the barbecue, our fundraiser. And then I know our fall festival, we had to buy quite a few things to get that going, but we still brought in about $300, almost $400. So with every activity that we've done, we've never gone in the hole. So we're really kind of worried about not knowing where our money is going. Because everything we have, we charge for our booths, we charge, just to get a little bit of money to cover. We've had to do a lot of extra stuff to build up our activities. And so, but everything, according to our records.
We've made money on everything.
Yeah, and so we're a little concerned about that, and Jamie's been helping us out, and she's talked to the accountant and seeing, but if there's any way we can just ear tag civics and our money go just into civics, we know what our budget is and everything like that, we would appreciate that. So
because this is public comment.
Yes,
we
I know.
can't, but
I know, but we
But
just,
we'll be back in 2 weeks.
But I just wrote it down for agenda item for next time.
yeah, we can discuss that. We'll get that information, and that's actually a pretty good deal, and it's right here in town.
the only thing that
That's
they
placed.
need, what's that?
The $2,500 is placed.
No, that's the problem. There is a stipulation. They have a trailer in front of it that they would need some help moving. If Donnie's here, he could do it. I mean, I'm sure, and they just want that moved.
We've got trucks and trailers and equipment, so
And
that's not
so-
worry.
And then we would like it over here on the senior center.
In
on
the back,
in
in the
the very
corner where
back
the
in the
old
corner.
one used to be that was Karen chairs, right
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, wherever that is.
Julie, it's over here.
Okay. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. It's gonna be a long 2 weeks.
So you got that for the agenda then?
I just
Okay.
wrote it down.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we have some place to put all the stuff that we've been, I mean, we've got some really nice stuff that we've been able to
You came
get.
and talked to us about this a long time ago,
Yeah.
and we kind of forgot. Well, if you just found it, that's great.
Yeah,
So
and I've
we'll-
been looking and I've been kind of, I know Colorado City has some. I even called around, but they're around $4,000. So I figured that's a good deal. It's here in town. We're helping them out. They're helping us out.
Yep.
So, but we just wanted to bring it to your attention and then we'll be on the agenda next
Thank you.
time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kevin Collins?
Thank you. My first time just in a place like this, but I just wanted to express my experience, out at the Red Hills. I ride my dirt bike out there. Other people use it for recreation, similar to Hog Canyon or Coral Pink or something like that. But in particular, it was months ago, one of the first picnic areas, if you branch off and don't go to the firing range and go up the hill, that concrete table was smashed pretty badly. It took some great effort, I would imagine, to do the destruction as concrete and rebar, and what a shame it was. What kind of act of aggression, and some folks would even call it terrorism, but something that needs to, it's not acceptable behavior. But regardless, I hadn't been there for a while. I came back several months later to see a new metal table there, and it had met the same demise. And I don't know what these tables cost. I imagine the concrete table would be about $5,000 these days, bidding out or hearing what pads and other concrete things are going for. It's pricey. So to allow this kind of destruction to continue it's not discouraging this vandalism too much. And why isn't this happening at other places? And why do people show that respect in other places, such as Hog Canyon or across from there? But they're insisting on destroying this. And not only that, it's immense amounts of litter, and they use it as a dumping ground. And I have video and pictures, which aren't even necessary. We can just go there right now and see that and so it's kind of like picking up after your kid. Are you gonna do that? Yeah, we do it, but what does that say? And I just think if there was some accountability, and I'm willing as a private citizen, as a business, to put currency towards whatever action it takes, if that's, so my idea is, a post right there, right at that with, 20 foot up with a game camera. Well, of course they're going to shoot that out. That's why we have another game camera down the road by the cemetery. It's not acceptable, and impose a hefty, whatever it may be, a public flogging. I don't know, but
Oh, yeah, right.
what kind of respect do you have for your own place that you're crapping where you eat? And it's if we just need to find out we don't need to do anything, but that's my suggestion. I'm willing to do whatever is suggested of me. I'm not just one of these guys that's fussing about the problem. I'm willing to contribute my effort and my currency to resolve it.
I think a game cam would be a really good idea. The deal is we'd have to figure out a way.
To hide it.
Yeah.
Just the one, because they're gonna destroy the one they can see, but at least they know they're being watched. And even simple signs, smile, you're on camera, which is what we've had to use at our house, because we had some, just things, not scary, but just accountability. Just like, that's why it's unfortunate But realistically, we shouldn't need law enforcement because we should all just get along, but that's not the way things are. We need certain things.
From 1960?
Yes, sir. I was born in the 70s and I never left.
Okay. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
So, it's a major problem that doesn't exist everywhere else. You're driving through Fredonia, I used to fantasize about, I'd go through and I'd see these Mondale Pines, wow, this is a beautiful place to live. And that's the impression that it should give through and through. And when you go up the road and maybe you want to do that clamshell loop, unfortunate. And I think, honestly, Fredonia is going to be one of these similar. It has a potential being like a Sand Hollow type, to cater to side-by-side folks, because you got the Red Hills and the shooting range and things like that. And if done responsibly, it can be a magnificent place.
That's why we're here.
Maybe,
Thank you.
maybe we could put that on the next agenda about right now, there's a lot of game cams available, used ones, because they've outlawed them for hunting. Maybe we could pick up a few. And, as far as beyond, and they've done the same thing to this there was a concrete picnic table on the other end. They
It's on the
destroyed
south end, that's what he's talking about, I
No,
think.
he's talking about that one.
Oh.
But on the south end, they put up another one, and they've trashed that too. But we do, I think just to clarify, a lot of people have been upset because the officers from town are not patrolling the whole loop. But part of a contract that we had with BLM that I hope that got
Well,
renewed.
There's actually three different outfits involved because of state land, which is Coconino County, you know that. But anyhow, go ahead.
So, anyway, part of that contract, the town of Fredonia is the one that actually did the road base that goes to the picnic tables. And we do have jurisdiction to patrol to the picnic tables. And beyond that is either the Coconino County Sheriff or the BLM LEOs. And, but the problem is, like, for our guys to get it, it's been done. But you know what though, I agree with you, that is a concern.
And proactive measures, potentially, I just don't know how maintenance would be if we had receptacles and signs. I had littering is trashy, and I don't know if they work, because does somebody really read that, like, the sign, don't beat your wife? Oh, really? I didn't realize. You don't, yeah, we know we're not supposed to litter, we know we're not supposed to do that stuff, so I don't know, but maybe a receptacle, but maybe not, because whoever's doing this is pretty violent and aggressive, and maybe they even have personal beef with the town if they've done this twice.
That's part of in my report tonight too, so you'll hear some more.
Right.
So
Thanks for the
Thanks
it's
for
not
coming.
just something that we aren't aware of.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you, Kevin.
thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, the agendas for May 3rd and the minutes from April 19th, regular meeting, April 26th, 2024, special meeting, and May 1st, special meeting. I think those are in your packets.
I make a motion that we approve the consent items number 1 and 2.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, reports. I will be first here because Donnie's not here. And so I do have a lot of things that I have been working on for the last 2 weeks. We have number one, we have arranged for the cash and everything, getting the the people at the swimming pool ready. We're getting that has all been taken care of. We are working on the cemetery arch. We're trying to get that done for Memorial Day. That is later also on the agenda for tonight, I think, isn't it?
Yep.
So, okay. We have an employee that we're trying to get over some health problems. All of our signature cards have been turned into the bank now, so everything is set with the bank, at least for the next couple of months. The last time I was told to arrange for an interview with Grist News Service. The emails have been sent. We have not heard back from them yet. Okay, the grant on the sewer project out at the old Mill Estates. We filled out the January through March report. It needed a couple of spots corrected and added to, and we corrected that and sent that back in. The grants on that don't run out until the end of the year. Now I'm giving you some other items down here. I'm kind of combining some things here. I have talked with the man from St. George, Kelvin. I don't see his name, so I can't say his last name.
Kelvin.
But we found out that the grant does not run out until the end of the year, and so we've made arrangements and already talked to the people in Phoenix. I think it's NACOG that's also in charge of that grant.
Well, there's two.
Yeah, I know, that's why I say, but
Okay.
that particular grant, well, but there's two different grants, and both of them, I think, are with NACOG, aren't they? Oh, there's two on the sewer, because one of them is the refund money from the opioid settlement.
The county actually, so one of them was
Oh,
federal
it was
money.
county, that's right, it's county, not NACOG,
Yep.
okay.
So we didn't have enough from the first grant, and then the county had a huge grant that they could displace part of it, and so but if it is not a hassle for you, Kelvin needs to call every week.
Oh, I told him I was gonna
'Cause-
call him every week.
Cause they
He
said
wasn't happy,
they said they may not have it ready. Well, he needs to be, because if they don't put it out, they said it'll be ready for bid in the fall.
last year.
No, he said
Oh.
it will be ready for bid in this coming fall.
No.
But if we had and you know what, for a lot of those guys, that's not a big project, but there
No.
are a couple of complications, and if they don't put it out to bid till fall, and they don't start working on it till November 30th,
Well,
we're in trouble.
I'm pushing.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I found all the information, and with your information added to what I had,
Okay,
I was able to talk to him, and like I told him that he better expect a phone call, and I don't wanna talk to a machine.
good man.
Okay, he did tell me that he has been on site with ADOT out here on the new projection of the line and everything. They verbally says, oh, this shouldn't be any problem.
Okay,
And so we're just waiting for them to send the paperwork back. It's gonna be a two-step process, because the original will be issued to us or the contracting company and the engineers. And then when the bids are accepted, then we have to send in for an addendum to it to actually put it into the contractor's name, so.
okay,
But that's no big deal.
okay.
At least that's what we've been told. Okay, let me go down here some more now. I have started communication with Flagstaff, with Coconino County, on trying to find Well, guess what, Jamie? Did you leave this running?
It's all right, we're going live, you're good. Don't even worry about it, just put it down.
Okay.
Just there.
Anyhow, on readdressing and addressing the streets so that we can, because what we're trying to do is we're doing it to be working with dispatch so that the new places in town that we assign numbers to, I'm trying to find out how to register it downstate, and so that it can, because dispatch uses their information. They don't use our town information. They use the county information when they send out an officer or a 911 call. So that might, we're just trying to get a problem stopped before it starts. Because they didn't call us, we initiated it, so we're,
So the county they're like on recording deeds and a lot of these parcels and stuff, they're 6 months to a year.
Oh, I know.
behind. So starting now is a good thing.
oh yeah. Well, that's why I did it, and I called and it just says, leave a message. Well, I'm gonna send emails, and I don't know, I may send a cowbell or something, I don't know.
Okay.
But we're working on that. That's called the GIS Manager in Coconino County. Okay, as a point of information, and this is all of, for you gentlemen and also for the community especially, we just finished a examination on the, we call it the dike here in town.
Kenny, what's it called?
Levy.
It's a levee. Okay, that's what I said. I labeled, I said, we call it the dike here in town. Everybody in the government calls it a levee. Okay, except that it's too high to be classed as a levee. Now, in conjunction with the levee, there's 2 or 3 other items that I wanted to address that need to be done, and I don't know how else to do it to get it out to the community other than this meeting. That's why it's part of my report tonight. People in the office are getting tired of me saying, be part of the solution, not the problem. We have a situation here in town. We have allowed our children, our youth, our adults to ride their 4-wheelers and their ATVs and their dirt bikes here in town, but the rules and the regulations are not being followed. They have put us in a situation, and I say us because we're gonna have to write the check for all of this, but it's all gonna come out of the pocket of the citizens of the town.
Write the check for what?
Getting there. And what I'm saying is as I was talking to the inspector of that levee yesterday, when I had to sign off on it, the words that, not exactly, because I don't wanna get him in trouble, or me, or anybody else, but, expect a penalty. The dirt bikers and the ATV vehicles have been riding on top of the dike, the levee. They've got ramps, 3 or 4 of them, on the sides. It has caused erosion, it has caused damage to that, and the people downstate, the people in charge, the people that hold the whip, they don't like that. So
I'm getting two stories.
I know, I
Kenny,
did
Kenny,
too.
what did he tell you?
Because he told me, I understand what you're saying, and we're coming from here. He said that the dike overall was in better repair, but, and that's the capital.
He has to find something.
He has to find something.
That's all that is.
Well, but I'm telling the general public what we're trying to do here is avoid a situation. So mothers and fathers, children, teenagers, adults, listen up. Slow down, obey the rules, because this is not 1960.
74.
And it's not easy. If you break the rules, we're gonna have problems. So, ATV riders, the levy and speed and breaking the rules, please, let's be part of the solution, not the problem. We can't control it. I say we, meaning the town officials and the town leaders. The only way we can do it is through the parents and the children. So that's my report for tonight, gentlemen.
Hey, if you wanna put that on the next agenda, I can share with you some money, and I can share with you some ideas that under the next budget year, if, we could help some of that, and it could still be part of the recreation out there.
Yes, because we don't want to really stop that. We
But
just
the
want to help
problem
it.
is, it's not on top, it's going
It's
over.
going over the top, that's
But
right.
if you wanna put that on the agenda for next time, I could present some stuff, and with the new budget coming up, for relatively not a lot of money, we could do something to help that.
Okay. So that's where we're at. Anybody on the council have any reports to give us besides that, Dirk?
Not anything that's not on
Danny?
the agenda.
No, just I went up there and walked that levee, all, every inch of it, and with the inspectors, and they told me that everything looked good,
Mhm.
better than it did before. But there's still tracks at the side of it, that's
Oh,
where it causes erosion, that causes the problems that they're discussing with us now. That we gotta stay off of the sides of it. But it looked, other than that, the spillway, it needs to be cleaned up with the concrete pieces out in that one end. And they said we could just push it over in the corner and make sure nobody else dumps stuff in there.
That kinda gets
That
back
gets
to
to my
something
last
that was
item,
addressed
so.
earlier.
Yeah.
There's,
let me address that one last item there that I skipped over. Where did I skip it at? Oh, well, anyhow. The limb pile. Fredonia has had a limb pile where the citizens of our community, and we know that the greater community, let's put it that way, has freely used the limb pile here in Arizona, in Fredonia. Now, people are griping and complaining that the town shut it down. Wrong. The state ADEQ. Let's see if I can remember what it is. Arizona Department of Environmental Quality shut everything down. If we want everything in Fredonia to be shut down, then keep breaking the rules, and it'll happen sooner or later. Every state and federal government, see, we already have the state and federal on the levee that we were just talking about, at the limb pile that doesn't exist, and yet people are still dumping out there. And all that's gonna do is get the town in trouble, and we're gonna have to pay fines probably if we're not careful. And then, who pays for that? The public. Just trickle down economics. Okay, that's enough for tonight. Anybody else? Okay, we'll go to the next item, our action items then. Oh, where did I miss?
Skylar.
Oh, Skylar's report.
I think that'd be worth reading.
Yes, I will. As quick as I get to it and pull it out. Okay, this is our last general meeting. We had a citizen that was inquiring about the old asbestos lines in town, and it's not actually an asbestos line. it is it's a cement line that has asbestos in it. Okay. This is quote, in regard to citizens concerned about the asbestos water lines in the town of Fredonia, it is something that we're working on. There has been conflicting reports as to how much asbestos water line we still have in town. Having looked over our water system as built and talking with previous public works directors, I have narrowed down a good idea where to start. The process of narrowing down the lines will be a slow process. We will have to pothole all of the suspected water lines to determine the class of pipe. In the near future, we will be renting another potholer for another project, and while we have it on hand, we will be able to locate what asbestos pipe we have left. Once we have located the asbestos pipe, we will make a plan to replace what is left. According to my plans, most of it, or if not all, was replaced during the water project of 2011 and 2012. Now, and I participated in that particular water project, unquote. And I know that most, if not all, of the old water lines were replaced. There are probably some left over. He quoted one up to the other side of the creek.
And I don't think this is the main water line. I think it's one spot where there's a spur that comes off. It's not the main water line that serves the town.
Yes.
It's a line that we need to follow up on.
Yes, it's not a common feature in the town. It's a stray spot here and there, we think. Okay. Okay, department heads. That was from Skylar Palmer, the head of our department for the Public Works Department. Okay. Now we'll have a young man come up that's volunteered to be on our fire department. If you'll come up here to the podium and take your hat off, I'm going to stand up. And she told me the thing was here. All I have to do is find it. Here it is. Excuse my nervousness, ladies and gentlemen, but I've only done this one time and it was completely by accident. Okay, I state your name.
I, Clayton Brooks,
Do solemnly, oh, I'm sorry, raise your hand, let's start over. I
Clayton Brooks,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona
and the Constitution and the laws of Arizona
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I'll faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge the duties
perform and discharge the duties
of the office of the town of Fredonia
of the office of the town of Fredonia
according to the law and the best of my ability.
according to the law at the best of my ability.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. That's number one. Number two, discussion and possible action regarding town power matters as presented by, is it still Daniel Pritchard?
Yeah.
Okay. And Scott Saline? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
It's not Celine?
If you want, Celine is even better, I'll take it.
Okay, and they are with KR Celine and Associates. I'm sorry.
You got it.
I just got too many bones in me, I guess.
Well, hello, council. Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm Dan Pritchard. This is Scott Celine. We're with KR Celine Associates. We are power consultants for the town. We were initially invited to come up here in March, and we just want to extend our condolences. Didn't get to meet Christy in person, but had some few email exchanges and, you know, a few Zoom calls, and she seemed like a very lovely person, very sharp as well, so. So with that, we have a few different issues we want to bring to your attention, things that are going on as it relates to your power. First item we'd like to discuss is your current Parker Davis resource, which is your main power resource. There's some increasing and changing power costs associated with that. So if you don't know, Parker Davis, main resource for the town, it's part of the hydro facility down at the Parker and Davis dams downriver, Colorado River. Parker Davis relies heavily on certain hydraulic conditions. How much water is in the reservoirs, and then the deliveries it needs to fulfill downriver to all its customers. So right now, the way the contract works is there's a firm amount of power that needs to be delivered and fulfilled per the contract. So if there's not enough power available to fulfill to all the customers, then Western, or WAPA, the entity that manages the facility, has to go out onto the market and buy extra power basically to fulfill your power contract and deliver the power as, per the contract. Since, there's a drought going on, there's been a lot of changes in the last 4 or 5 years as it relates to the cost of power, and it just keeps skyrocketing. And therefore, the rates that Parker Davis charges have had to be changed appropriately to reflect that. So this October of 23, rates were increased about 39%, your demand and energy rates, and it went off to all Parker Davis customers as they try and recoup basically all the money they're spending on market power to fulfill your contracts. And that, in a nutshell, is projected to increase your power costs in fiscal year 24 for about 26% increase. Western also, and a little bit more of the good news, has consolidated transmission rates amongst their Parker Davis intertie transmission lines, CAP, and ED5 power-rated transmission projects. And as a result, the rate for Parker Davis customers has actually gone down as they consolidate into one rate for all their transmission customers.
Yeah.
So, well, that's changed. So the big one is your power rates have gone up. And then, I don't know if you're aware, Fredonia, the town, was part of a resource management pool that sends excess generation in the summer to the city of Williams, city of Mesa, another member of the pool. And there's a winter and summer exchange base. You guys are more winter peakers. City of Mesa, obviously, more summer. And it's just settled at the Parker Davis rate. But saying that also, as it relates to rates, current conditions are looking a lot more promising. Market pricing, power, and natural gas have come way down. So as Western has had to raise rates, as Western has had to raise rates for this market power to supplement to make you guys whole, since prices come down, we're hoping in the next fiscal year the rates will be lower and hopefully not as extreme as the cost increase. The 39% demand energy rate increase was for last year. In the last 4 years, those rates have basically doubled. So there's just been so much volatility in the energy industry.
Well, and I realize also that we are looking at 1 or 2, possibly 2 housing projects in the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Okay.
So our demand is going to go up for something like that also.
Okay.
So that's why I underlined some of the things in your report that I just happened to notice it, knowing that you gentlemen didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been hard for you to estimate those things. And we can't really say that it's going to happen. It's just in the planning stages.
Okay.
So.
Well, it's helpful to know. And just to kind of wrap up with Parker Davis, overall, it's still a very valuable resource and a very low-cost resource compared to Hoover,
of the
to like
others.
other hydro projects, and then certainly to Market Power and other energy sources, so.
Yeah.
Any questions on your current power contract, Parker Davis?
So the projection of going up 26%, fiscal year
Yeah.
24, the word expected, it didn't say it will, that's just.
It's yes. Yeah, we don't have, we're in, so fiscal year will be ending in June, so we don't have a full grasp yet of what the actual power cost would be, but it should be, something like around there.
Do we have 600 households on our, how many, we have more than 600 households? So if we had 600 households, that would raise the annual rate of their power $84.15 for the year. If this increase goes in, or the average household would be about $7 a month. But if we
Well-
have more than 600, it wouldn't be quite that
Yeah,
much.
see, and that's
'cause-
the thing that in their report that they were telling also, as I understood it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that because we are participants with this Western Auto WAPA,
Western
it
Area Power
benefits-
Administration.
okay, that it does benefit us because then they're able to average out some of the higher and lower costs, and so some of the costs aren't
Yeah,
as high as it could be, if you will.
Right.
Like you said, coming from Boulder or
Mhm.
from some of the other projected, and I know one of the things, and I'm sorry, I might step on some toes here, but I know that the Sunshine Electric is not near as cheap as everybody thought it was gonna be.
correct, yeah.
And so we just have to roll with the punches, I guess.
So, it did say that Fredonia should anticipate a small reduction in its capacity allocation, and then it goes on to say,
Yeah,
Fredonia would be required to request whether it wants to purchase energy up to its entitlement. At this time, we haven't been using all of the energy that is available to us.
correct, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna get into the next issue,
Okay.
but,
I'll wait.
okay.
Go ahead, okay.
Great. So on to the next page of your packet. So your current Parker Davis contract goes through September 30th, 2028. WAPA has already begun outlining a framework of remarketing and coming up with a new contract. And it looks like the way the new contract is gonna be similar to Hoover and Crisp, Glen Canyon, whereas you will have a certain amount available to you each month, but it won't be the full contract amount most likely. It'll be up to you on your own to purchase market power from them directly or go out and purchase on your own. So whereas the old current contract, they have to firm it up. They have to deliver to your contract
Yeah.
obligation.
Now, that's the 2028 contract?
Yes,
you're talking
post
about?
2028, yes. So, in the future, it'll all depend on drought conditions, water levels, things like that. So you're not gonna know until maybe a quarter before or maybe a month before how much energy will be available for you guys to schedule and be delivered. There's also Western is also opening up to new customers. There's a 3% seasonal capacity increase. They're expected to have a little bit more capacity because they're reworking some of the turbines to make them more efficient. So they're expecting more capacity to offer to new customers. But you can't have an existing federal hydro resource to be able to apply for Parker Davis. So if you're a Hoover customer, you want Parker Davis, you can't. But saying that, the town should anticipate a small reduction in its capacity allocation, and then obviously the amount of energy will be quite a bit lower in certain times, depending on conditions.
Okay, now, would we have to do that on our own, or can we go through WAPA.
So, yes, you can go through WAPA and request, what's called Western Replacement Power, WRP or WRF. And, it's basically essentially market power. So it's basically what you're doing now.
Box type thing.
Yeah. So, but you're also welcome to go out and purchase any different resources to firm up your power as well if needed.
So I'm a little confused. They're saying that Fredonia should anticipate a small reduction in its capacity allocation, but then it says the new resource pool of up to 3% of seasonal capacity to invite new applicants. Why are they inviting new applicants into this when they're telling their existing customers to expect a reduction? What's that?
Well, they're basically federally required to open up. Anytime there's a new extension of the contract, a new remarketing, they're basically required on a federal level to open it up to new customers.
So
We don't-
So the second part of that though is if Fredonia says we want to purchase energy up to our entitlement, are we still good to go?
If you want to buy replacement, firming power basically to get to your full current allocation,
At other costs.
yes.
It won't
You
be
have the ability to
contract
do that,
cost.
but we don't know, the costs are going to be quite high for that market power.
So one thing that we kind of need to figure out then is, if we're not using up to our entitlement at this time, and they're gonna cut our power, if we build 50 homes in town and we go over our entitlement, what do we do then?
You're likely going to be buying more market power, or you're going to have to find a new resource. But that's something we would have to take a look at in terms of the numbers of how much load you're looking to add, and see if, what you currently have contractually would, be able to fulfill that.
So a lot of this on both sides is just conjecture at this point.
Yeah, and, so October 28 is the new contract. We don't know exactly. Western hasn't formally come through and offered saying this is what the rates are going to be. This is kind of what everyone's allocation is going to be. It's still early in the process, but we just wanted to make sure you guys were aware.
But like you said, it's only gonna happen 6 months before
Well,
termination. In other words, we're gonna have our backs to the wall almost.
so they've communicated
happens.
us, to members and we've been in some meetings where they've kind of introduced us to their process. We're expecting in January that they'll come out with kind of an outline of what they think the rates are going to be and the allocations are going to be for all the customers. So
That
it won't be just like shoving it through like 6 months beforehand. It'll be a few years notice.
Well, if we have a little time, at least we can think about it.
So there's that to consider, and then it might be a time to evaluate the town's membership in the RMS pool that Western runs. If your Parker Davis resources are dwindling, does it make economic sense to stay in that arrangement? So
Yeah, 'cause if they get too many big quote customers, then us little guys are gonna be looking for power.
so yeah, it's too early to determine the financials of all this, but we just want to make sure.
So
You
we
guys
really
are aware
don't
and-
need to make any decisions right now. It's
No.
just, hey guys,
This is
Yeah,
FYI.
this is on the horizon. This is coming up the pike. So, any other questions
Anything
on
else?
Parker Davis? We have another issue we want to discuss, and that kind of relates. And it's issue number 3, to just kind of the broader level of power markets. Western has issued a decision authorizing the CRISP region, so the region around Glen Canyon, to participate in an RTO, which is a regional transmission organization. And basically, it's just kind of a broad system to ensure reliability, and it's basically to consolidate, on a big scale, utility level, consolidate transmission and resources, kind of all funneled together. It's, and it's
So
market.
is this like a co-op?
Well, it's like a energy market. So the way the energy industry is shifting to is markets. With the addition, new renewables, different types of resources. These big, huge utilities want the ability to exchange power at certain times of the day. Sometimes, up to there's 5 minute to hourly scheduling now of and energy exchanges that are constantly happening. So you think of daily, hourly. You think of solar. Right now, what we're seeing is there's so much solar now that there's lots of energy available in the middle of the day, and it's quite cheap. But there's still,
Store it
there's still a need, and when the sun isn't shining.
when the sun goes down.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there's the Cal ISO market in the California side, which APS is heavily involved in, and then there's the SPP, which is actually out of Arkansas in that direction. They're coming west, and they are entering a contract to basically be linked into CRISP territory, Glen Canyon territory. And how this pertains to the town is with your transmission. Right now, you have 3 transmission
Yeah, our
paths.
transmission goes through about 3
Pancake.
different.
So
systems.
we're looking at the implications of this. If it's basically might be a situation where your Parker Davis is transmitted to Pinnacle Peak substation, but it's entering basically the market, and then it's going up to Glen Canyon, still in the market, but then but it's coming out of the market. Your resource and the town itself are not in this they're not in this service area, but your transmission is going through there. So it's possibly likely you're gonna be subjected to extra fees for
Extra
going
fees and
through.
costs, because
yes.
it's going through their process.
Yeah.
The middle guy.
We don't know. There might be some savings, because if it's just going, it might solve some of your pancaking issues, as we call them. So you have 3 different transmission paths, you're paying 3 different transmissions. It might just be, well, it's going in the market, coming out, maybe just one, but we don't know the impacts of that. But I think more than likely could be looking at some extra transmission fees associated with going through this RTO area.
I can't find the definition of this CRISP acronym.
Oh, CRISP is Colorado River Storage Project, and that's the Glen Canyon. So that's the resource that's the hydro dam at Glen Canyon. So there's Glen Canyon Dam, there's Hoover Dam, and then there's Parker and Davis dams, and they all have hydro allocation, allocated power out.
I do have a question, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
As a business owner, we own a meat shop,
Mhm.
and our business is absolutely dependent on having power that you can depend on all the time. So if we're talking about a reduction of power availability in the next, year or so, and if we're talking about putting
Mhm.
power on the market exchange, so historically, we've been having a lot more brownouts and blackouts, in the last year. And St. George and other, bigger surrounding communities who've been on the market exchange, they've been talking about to pretty much expect brownouts. throughout the
Okay.
year. So how will this affect us in Fredonia with brownouts, blackouts? Because if we have any interruptions in the power, then that's absolutely devastating to our
Yeah, I
business.
mean, that's actually something I don't think we're aware of, that you guys is how often does that happen, the brownouts, or
Last summer, we
in
had
the summer?
probably 3.
And do you know if they're organized staged brownouts, or it was some sort of emergency, or
Some of them
something?
were emergencies, some of them where there was just a huge draw on power, because
Okay.
everybody had
Yeah.
everything going. So if we're looking at a reduction, how does that affect potential?
Well, when I talk about reduction, it's mainly relating to power costs. So, there's a reduction in, Parker Davis power allocation, but then you're gonna, town gonna have to go out into the market to fulfill that, and basically spend more money on power to, fulfill the town, basically. In terms of reliability, that's something we're not as familiar with, so, that's something we could, definitely look into if.
So on that, I actually had kind of a question about that, because the federal government for the last 2 years has even said expect.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of other people in different positions, from
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what it means to harden your power grid?
No, I mean, we hear of these sort of things in California, but to be honest, I don't know if we've heard of anything like that impacting
Well, because
Arizona.
if the grid
Yeah.
goes down, and you can have, I mean, so like Texas 2 years ago, they had a real problem because of the solar.
Yeah.
They had some stuff like in South Carolina, North Carolina, the grid went down, but it did, the grid,
down.
the grid is actually connected.
Yeah.
So, but that only affected this area, cause the power lines basically are connected everywhere, is that correct? So is that, as far as this CRISP, as far as the RTO, if we're a part of that, what could we do to harden our power grid? Or do you know what that even means?
Well,
As
Yep.
far as the reliability?
part of these markets, so they say, is they're promising more reliability because everything is more interconnected. I think you mentioned Texas. They had their issue because Texas is kind of by themselves. They're on their own grid. They're not connected to any of these western grids or the east or.
Well, now part of their problem is they wouldn't let them fire up the coal power plant.
Yeah.
They had
Mhm.
the ability
Yeah.
to fix the problem, but the feds wouldn't let them. So are we looking at, and like when you talk about the solar, and I don't mean to take up a bunch of time.
Mhm.
When you talk about the solar and this other stuff and reliability is all, because ours is tied to Parker Dam. But these other sources, are they getting solar?
Well,
But like CRISP certainly is the Colorado River Storage Project, that has nothing to do with solar.
no. And it's not necessarily, and I don't think the impact is solar, but one of the things that these markets and these consolidations promise is a little bit more reliability. So, if there is a brownout in one place, you're able to go out in the market and get power, fairly quickly. But
In other words, the solar goes down, but gosh, the Colorado River's got power because the water's flowing through the dam.
yeah,
Let's use that power.
exactly, yeah.
We'll pay you and bump up the price, and so then that means we have to bump up the price to make sure we get our power, am I correct?
Yeah. To be honest, we were kind of unaware that you guys have been experiencing, and this is, I assume,
Well-
a transmission, Garcane transmission issue, or?
Yes, but I know, and I found out that part of what she's going through, and Garcane is good about it usually, because they try to do most of their big repair work at night.
Okay.
And they usually notify Fredonia and the rest of their service out and up into Utah when they're going to do that. But sometimes we get people that shoot transformers,
Yeah, okay.
and that happens sadly oftener. And then for these little businesses like hers, it's devastating, like she says. I mean, you're working in the middle of a project and all of a sudden there's no power from here to Glendale, see?
Yeah.
Well, it's all coming from the transmission lines out of CRISP, Glen Canyon, on Garcane's power grid, and into us, and, it's just a huge surprise. All the grocery stores shut down because nobody knows how to run
Yeah.
a old-fashioned calculator.
Well, our firm, we have a transmission and engineering side of the firm. That's something we could definitely look into and kind of study the whole transmission arrangement locally here, to see if there's anything, our team could look at to see if any way of improving your, the infrastructure around here, any suggestions we can make, so. I think that's kind of it. And then on the last page is just a summary of your projected power costs. The main, and again, the main driver is from fiscal year 23 to 24 is, the increase in the Parker Davis power costs. So it's a 20, I think I said 25% 26% increase to your power cost, but overall it's a 13%, just because the transmission is the same, so relatively.
And what we were talking about the difference thing is Garcane's wheeling charge, that's the cost of bringing it from Glen Canyon over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the RTO issue and the SPP, that's kind of the issue we're looking at is it impact your Garcane line and does it impact your Crisp line, the Glen Canyon to Pinnacle Peak line. So
Okay.
any other questions?
It's not pretty, is it?
To be said, it's, we've had these types of discussions with a lot of our clients, and I will say you guys are quite a bit better off than some of our folks. Some of our clients were really hit hard by, a lot of the just the natural gas spikes, volatility, and this energy pricing. The ones that don't have a very secure, like valuable hydro resource like yourselves that are more dependent on market power have really been impacted. So.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to bring it up, just one more
Yeah.
item.
Yeah, one more additional item. So, as many of you are probably aware, as states start to impose renewable energy portfolios, so for businesses to show that they're receiving, a majority or even 100% of their energy from renewable resources, it's kind of created this market called the Renewable Energy Credit Market, or RECs, as they're popularly known. And so, recently, within the last few years, hydropower resources have been considered renewable resources. And so for every megawatt hour that is generated, one REC is created. So these RECs have become very valuable to many, many companies, from Amazon to even Intel, or many companies, or even cities themselves who want to show to the public that they're renewable, that they're green, will go out and they'll buy these RECs to show as a way of demonstrating that they're renewable. So the Arizona Power Authority has recently been engaged to become an agent to selling these RECs. So Hoover customers over the last year that have received, again, whatever the megawatt hour per year, they add them up, and then they will go out to the market and they'll sell them. I think the last tranche that they sold was about $1.25, between 90 cents and $1.25 per REC. And then within the last commission meeting at the APA, they decided to open up to CRISP customers and also Parker Davis customers to be able to use the APA to be able to sell their RECs. And so Fredonia generates about 5,000, or uses 5,000 megawatt hours per year. And so there's an opportunity for you to be able to enter into an agreement with the Arizona Power Authority to be able to use your 5,000 RECs, and they would be able to market those where, it won't be a lot of money potentially that you'll make, but if, at $1, $5,000 a year,
Something, yeah.
it's something.
Yeah, but is it gonna do like Bitcoins do and turn belly up too?
I don't think so. This one seems to be a more reliable market. That there are definitely real, like Amazon, real cities who are willing to buy these things. Not necessarily El Salvador, Venezuela doing it.
The problem is that going to buy power that we're using now?
Well, it's not that, it's
Are
not
they
the
gonna
power.
buy a chunk of power coming out from Parker Davis that we want and that we're paying this much for, and they're gonna charge us?
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with power. So these are
Oh,
all
okay,
just.
okay.
It's a whole new thing. It's all on paper.
It's green, it's bull.
And there's an opportunity for you to
It's
take advantage of it.
Yeah.
The next step over the renewable energy credit is called the carbon tax. And if you sell your renewable energy credits and they start doing the carbon tax, then what do?
You know, we haven't heard anything about the carbon tax as part of the conversation, and, from
That's
what we're hearing,
next, that's next. So I don't
Yeah.
think, you know what, if they wanna give us 5 million, maybe. But not.
Oh, we don't wanna do that because then they'd make us use it on the levy.
Well, one off, right, is you can keep your wrecks and not sell them, right?
Yeah, and I
If
think
you guys
that
wanna
they're,
advertise your green.
and I think for, you know, as long as you can demonstrate that you haven't sold them, I think that you can retain them for almost, at this point, an indefinite period of time until you decide, you know, what you wanna do with them, but they're there, you know, and
Yeah.
they're recognized by, you know, state governments, et cetera. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Well, anyway, you're just the messenger.
Like I said, it sounds like bitcoins to me. But I'm old.
Well, thank you, council.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Tell us, you're our advisors. And you just said, hey, here's some things on the horizon, are we doing okay?
Yeah. Overall, like I said, you're doing, compared to a lot of our clients, you're doing very well. Parker Davis is a very good, cheap resource, compared to other
And the
power
snow-
resources.
And the snowpack hasn't stopped melting yet, so.
We've run into some very good, water
We've
years.
had 2 good years.
Good
of
years.
snow.
Yeah,
So,
thankfully.
The last 20.
Awesome.
so hopefully that continues. But we need, at least 3 or 4 more of them to really
Oh,
get us
yeah.
out of this,
Yeah.
this drought. So, all right.
Well,
Thanks for your time.
and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but by using Parker Davis, there's a certain quantity of water, as long as it's in Meade, that Meade has to allow to go south.
Yep.
Same with Glen Canyon.
Yep. And in Powell, there's Powell and Meade. And
So as long as we have water in Powell and Meade,
hmm
then Parker Davis is gonna be okay, because they have to turn X amount of cubic feet per second
Correct. Yep.
out through the bottom of the river to supply power to Mexico and the lower Colorado River.
hmm Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Keep
Thank
your
you.
fingers crossed.
Would you like to stick around for the rest of the meeting?
Oh, that's up to you.
All right, have a good night.
Okay. Next thing here, number 3. I have a stack of papers here on the Easy Street project. I'm not familiar with the whole thing, maybe you gentlemen are. We have 2 of the people that are living there, or at least own property there. Let me amend that there, that have not signed the papers yet. They have been sent to them, but they have not returned them to us yet.
So what that
So-
is, that road actually doesn't belong to the town of Fredonia.
Yeah, I understand
And
that.
they were trying to say that it was an illegal subdivision, and it was not a subdivision.
Yeah.
It was some parcel splits, but the town of Fredonia refused to grant any building permits there because of the issue with the road. And there's a gentleman who's now dead that spent a truckload of money fixing the main place where the drainage comes across the road. And we went up there and looked at it, everybody agreed, but what we said is it hasn't been a building moratorium, but the town has just held back for whatever reason in years past. So we said it's time to let these people do what they want with their own property. And so what we did is they signed, and that's what this is,
Okay.
giving the town a utility easement. If they want to put a gate on that road and keep everybody out except the people that live there, they have every right to do that.
At this point?
Period.
Oh, okay.
Period. That's the agreement.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what that is. But they are responsible for the maintenance of the road. The town of Fredonia is not responsible, but the town of Fredonia wants a granted utility easement,
Yeah.
so,
Because we have water and garbage and power up there, correct? Okay, go ahead.
so that's what that is. And everybody up there was willing to sign, I don't know why, but, we pretty much have to have everybody sign. And we didn't even have to create a new utility easement, there already was one, and there was a gentleman that was paying the taxes on that. So anyway, that's kinda like, that's their, if you wanna split your field in half and put a utility easement down there so Joe can live here and Bubba can live here, you still on the road, but you gave them a utility easement to go down there, so what is the question then? What do we need to do to get them, because it says
Yeah,
here,
that's it.
he's
We-
talking about
what
a
do we
little,
do?
what was this? Oh, this is, whoops. I got too many papers in front of me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay. So this goes back to April 17th. And I think this must have come to you, Jamie.
So what happened is I went to the lawyer and said, look, everybody sent everything back. The two we didn't get back, we sent out certified letter. We got the signature back that they received it, but we never got anything after that. Do we need to take further action? He said, first of all, he said, no, I think we're okay, they just can't get permits. Then he looked into it, he said, no, that's wrong. He said, we absolutely have to push the two homes that didn't sign. Otherwise, you have to map out who did sign, and then from there, where the breakdown is to be physically. And this has to do with permits or any other work. So I guess the question on the table is, what action, if any, are we going to push to get the signature, or are we going to then send them a note that says, because you didn't sign X, Y, Z?
Well, you know what, and maybe we need to visit with Brandon about that, but we ran into this before. Some people did not sign some stuff when we were dealing with the water line, and they thought by not signing it, they were rejecting the proposal, but one cannot not communicate. So maybe we need to talk to Brandon about putting out another letter that says, if you do not respond, then.
You forfeit your rights or something?
No, we'll take that as a yes. But if it's in a certain.
Oh, okay.
But it needs to be in legalese, but basically, we wanna do this, we wanna help you, and we'll figure that crickets means you agree, and ask Brandon if he thinks that. But if they got the certified letter and they signed for it, and they signed for that letter, then it says that by not responding, your signature says this is good. I think that would be
That sounds
better than doing some sort of a miniature lawsuit. We don't need to create
No.
problems. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay, so we'll get with Brandon.
So, okay, so it says discussion and possible action. I make a motion that we send a second letter certified that refers to what I said.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
That was your,
Yeah.
I wasn't saying,
That's
I was
all right.
prompting.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Okay. Okay, we have, in number 4 and number 5, we have two different people who have offered to possibly come in and help in the office as part-time helpers, just doing odds and ends and things, and not making decisions or anything. But in Jacob Clough and in Ted Jensen.
So I would say probably not to discuss these as one.
Okay.
It's 4 and 5.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's written that way. I was just trying to combine them as an explanation.
So,
So I'm-
can I comment on Jacob?
Yes.
So, everyone, we had several people who, turned in letters of intent that they'd be glad to help the town. Jacob had a couple things that he was interested in and has experience with, but one of the things we're trying to do is get our code book, if not up to date, to where it doesn't contradict itself. And there are some things, not only that are contradictory, but like our commercial building code is ridiculous, what we charge. And if we're interested in industry and manufacturing in this town, we need to make the environment a little bit more friendly. So, and we wouldn't even be putting Jacob on a committee, but he would just head up, looking at the code, bringing the verbiage to us, and then we could say, hey, we would like to make a resolution and change that. I know, for instance, and I don't have the exact numbers. Well, I do. I know a guy who's building a large steel commercial building, and he spent $260,000 on permits up there before they turned the shovel full of dirt. And Fredonia, I don't think we need to be that way, but that's the direction that Jacob said he could help us with that. And then if there's other code things, but for now, the second thing would also be the discussion that we've had with, maybe not even purchasing the power line that goes out to, where Sawmill Estates was proposed. But, at least getting it set up to where the meters would be ours, because that's annexed into our town. And Jacob said that he could possibly work on those two things, so.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if we need to, I don't know that we need to make an official,
Motion?
or maybe just to keep everybody happy, I make a motion that we work with Jacob Clough as kind of an advisor or a digger-upper for our commercial building code and the possibility of the power out there.
Yeah, because that's Garcane out there, isn't it?
Yes.
Because well, it is inside the town limits now, but it's still serviced by Garcane, not by Fredonia Power.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to get it straight so I know what I'm doing when I start walking in the mud.
So what that would entail, the commercial building code part, we just need to get some specific things that we need to look at that possibly need to be changed. And the power part, we need to get a meeting with the Garcane Power, with the board.
Now, would that be more with the council or with the power board?
Well, and that could go either way.
Well, that's why I'm asking. I don't know.
I would say let's just have him initiate the process, and then if there are people on the power board that would like to be involved, we could contact them. And not any one individual could make that decision, but we need to initiate the meeting, and we need to start a conversation.
Okay, so as the acting manager then, do you want, okay, your motion is to bring Jacob in and see if he can get started on that. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second from Kenny Johnson. And that's what you want me to start doing that then?
Contact him.
As in the office?
Okay.
Okay.
And he doesn't really have any authority to do anything, but
No.
we didn't vote on that. We got a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Yeah, I'm new at this role. Okay, regarding Ted Jensen. I don't know who, I know that he has a project going here in the town, across from the port of entry right now. I don't know anything.
So where
Much else.
where that was going is, we are anticipating some turnover in the office
Yes,
in the next few months, is that correct?
yes,
And then our clerk has some health issues, and, we're only about a year and a half into this to where we run into the same thing, to where we ended up being left high and dry
yeah,
with nothing. And in working with Ted, and Dawn did talk to the lawyer on this, we're not interested in Ted coming in here and telling our office staff what to do. We're not interested in Ted coming in and changing everything. What we're interested in is him coming in and becoming familiarized with what's going on. So if in the event that something happens, we have somebody who could step in. And right now, it would be pretty much Jamie just sharing with Ted. Tracy, okay, and I can't say, we're not supposed to discuss.
yeah,
But anyway, the other position, that individual's still struggling with some stuff.
yes,
So, and that would be, and I think that the mayor spoke to him and made it clear, we don't want you to come in and say, this is wrong. We want him to come in and become familiarized, so that if something happens, we've got somebody as a backup that can step in. And that's what that was. No
Okay.
authority to, he wouldn't be like a treasurer or a clerk, just an emergency assistant until we know where we're gonna land with a couple of situations.
okay.
So
Anybody?
it would, I guess it's not even really a title, it's just kind of an emergency clerk back.
Information officer.
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go. But it's specifically with dealing with the finances or day-to-day things that might need to be taken care of in the future.
Okay, anybody?
For a second?
For motion.
So I make a motion that we approve Ted Jensen to be able to come in and work with the office staff to become familiarized as a backup.
I'll second it.
Okay. King, Johnson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Discussion and possible action regarding reorganization. Basically labels and the thing that the person takes care of on town clerk and treasury. In other words, do we want the town clerk to be in charge of the dollars? Is the way I understand that.
Where this came from, and we probably should table this until a
Okay.
future date. But what came up about this is who a mayor or a council member should not have codes to get into the computer to manage the bank account. Period.
Okay,
Ever. And other towns, and our code states that an individual can act as a town clerk / treasurer.
oh, I see.
But other places, the
They have
treasurer,
separated it.
the treasurer, one of them receives the receipts and writes the checks, and the other one balances the checkbook. Instead of one individual receiving the receipts, writing the checks, and balancing the checkbook. And all it is just,
Well, you suggested maybe tabling this until we find out a little more information about what's gonna happen in our office?
yeah, and that's why right now, this would be, but that's where that question came up, like a mayor, or a vice mayor should not manage the
Yeah.
money market accounts of a town. Should not have access to it in any way, anytime.
Okay, so
So I make
Is
a
that your
motion that we
motion
just
then?
table that. I make a motion, we just table that.
I'll second it. We'll, Ed, Frank, second. Okay. Discussion and possible action regarding the budget planning, and I have
So you need to vote on that, yeah?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Oh, we did.
Oh, you did?
He said he got a second, and then he said all in favor.
My bad.
And you were just testing us. Did we do okay?
Okay, just before meeting started tonight, I did have some information from Lars Johnson, who is the CPA, helping with and conducting the information on our budget. And just minutes before council tonight, he says, I won't have it ready for today, but I'll try to get it done over the weekend so we can distribute next week. So for our next meeting, we will have the budget information available according to what he's planning on having done between now and our next meeting. And that's
So
on
so there's really no action needed.
no action needed on that one.
Well, we could distribute the budgets to the different departments, and then at the next council meeting, they can be ready to present, so that we
If
can
we
move
get it in the
faster,
meantime,
because it would be nice to have by the end of May.
So I guess we could-
June.
okay, then I'll make the motion that
Well, I mean,
if we receive that information in time and ahead of time to follow the suggestion, that the department heads receive their recommendations, so that at our next meeting,
So what this letter said is we will need to kick off the budget process soon. The process is as follows. I will prepare spreadsheets for each department to complete the requests.
yes.
Then we compile it and present it to the council for consideration. If we can get the department level work done in May, then we can get council's input and adopt the budget in June. And
So we'd be right on time.
I guess, so the deal would be, I don't know if there's any really action needed until he gets the spreadsheets and hands them out. But if he doesn't get,
Well, a motion would be then to, as they're received in, to hand them out to the departments and to encourage them.
so I don't think there's even any action needed, because
Okay.
that's just what he's gonna.
Okay,
But then if they do get them, we have plenty of time that we could put it on the agenda for the next time.
yes, because the way the month is set up, and I don't have Jamie's calendar in front of me, the meeting's this week, and then the next meeting, if we hold it on a Tuesday, is the 14th. Because the mayor won't be back in town by then, probably. And so by then, we could be hearing from the departments, and then something that we need to talk about before the end of the night is whether we want to hold a meeting on the 28th after the day after Memorial Day. But, so we could take care of it by,
So we could even make that decision on that meeting in 2 weeks.
yes,
Okay.
we could probably do it then. So we'd have to tell the department heads to hurry.
Well, for the time being, they need to hurry and wait.
Yeah. Okay. Discussion and possible action on the cemetery arch. Derek, you were in charge of that. You want to
So
give us a
we
report here?
poured concrete today. We've got 4 huge, well, we have two huge connected columns.
Mhm.
And I paid for it, the concrete was over $1,500. And we already have the pipes, and we even have an 8-inch square piece of tubing, that Kenny was willing to donate, I think.
Yeah, it's still there.
And I wish to just donate it to me. But, there was there was actually quite a bit of discussion that the old sign was an arch, and it actually had quite a bit of radius to it.
Mhm.
But, I can get, and it was, I mean, it was decent, it was there for a long time,
Yeah.
but honestly, it was a little bit flimsy.
Mhm.
So the posts that are going in are 16 foot, the column and the footings are a foot, so just the bottom of the post is gonna be 17 feet. And if you can hit that with a dumpster truck, you're in trouble.
You got a bounce truck.
But, so the deal is though, I found, there is a place that can bend 4 by 12 rectangular tubing. And they can give me a little bit more of a radius with that, but, tubing and bending would be about $1,700. But I can get a 4 by 10 piece of tubing that's 1/4 inch, that wouldn't have quite the radius, but it would still be a nice radius.
So
And
what we need to decide is whether we need a straight sign or a radius sign, and how
And-
much the cost difference is it worth it?
Well, it's about $1,500.
That's what I'm saying.
So right now, and I've donated a lot of stuff, I've donated a lot of supplies, and even on the letters and some of the other stuff, but I just didn't have $3,000 in my pocket right now. And the other thing I could do is, we could just go ahead and go with it, and I could talk to some people in town to see if I could get a few donations to help out with that.
So do you wanna hold this again for,
No,
another week and a half?
we're moving. We're like, this needs to be done before Memorial
oh,
Day.
that's what I mean, so that would, if the
But-
14th would still give you only a week before
Well-
Memorial Day.
And you know what, I'm willing to take the chance that the town won't pay for it, but because right now, I just don't know whose budget it's coming out of. Normally, like when the town did pay for the 16-foot, 12-inch columns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just came out of Parks and Recreation. But, I tell you what, let's just do this so we don't, I make a motion that if the town has the money in a budget, whether it's Parks and Recreation or wherever it needs to come from, I make a motion that the town pay for the concrete and the arch. And if they don't, I'll just deal with it. But I can't bring the receipt in tonight and turn it in because I don't know where it's coming from. But this was all approved quite a while ago to get this done. The cemetery committee's been waiting a long time to get this done, and I think it's gonna be there for 50 years or more. So
Probably.
let's get her done right, so I'm willing to do it right, and even if down the road the money could be found somewhere, we could get some donations, but, and maybe there's not even any, discussion needed then, but if you guys are okay with it, the cemetery committee would like an arch.
Okay.
And I'd just like to go with that, so, I guess there's really nothing to approve other than maybe by the next meeting we could discuss and see if Parks
Well,
and
we can
Recreation.
put it on the meeting to
For the month.
finalize it and,
Financing the arch, that's all.
And can you give us a dollar amount so we can check and see?
The concrete today was almost $1,600.
Okay, got that.
And the arch would be between 15 and no, just say 1,500. I'm gonna get the 10-inch by 4-inch tubing bent. But this 8-inch square tubing that Kenny has actually would look pretty good. It's about that big. But the 10-inch would be a little bit bigger, and you can bend it into an arch. The square tubing, they can't. And I asked them if we could bring that down. They can't bend the square because it kinks it.
Oh, okay.
So we need $3,000. And the flagpole was already paid for 2 years ago. The flagpole that goes with this, there's gonna be 4 poles, that costs $3,800. So just in materials, by the time this is done, just in materials, this is a $10,000 deal. And if we paid somebody else to do this, it would've cost
Oh, yeah.
a lot, so.
Not that much.
So really, there's no action. I guess that's just more of a report, like it or not, you're getting an arch.
Okay, so I guess we don't need a motion on that then, to table it into, other than to put it, make sure that it's on the agenda for the 14th to finalize and everything.
Yeah, so I'm hat in hand, anything of it.
Okay. Okay, I don't have anything else then. I guess that's the bottom of the line. So we will declare this meeting adjourned at 8:38, let's just call it.